Sessions.
Hey guys, Skill Sessions here. So the wait is finally over. I didn't want to believe it, but Kawhi Leonard is finally gone and he didn't sign with the Raptors. I didn't want to believe it, but during the last game of the season, the finals game 6, at the end when the buzzer finally sounded after all those delays and calls for fouls and stuff like that, Leonard triumphantly raised both his hands in the air to proclaim he is the champ, and Kyle Lowry ran to him and stuck his head underneath him and just gave him a hug. And at that moment, I saw, it was very slight and you really got to catch it. I saw that Kawhi just did some skipping and he lowered his left arm just to push him out of the way. And you can see very clearly that Lowry was a bit frustrated. His face turned from all smiles to like a bit of a frown, and he just left the area. And it's pretty funny afterwards. You see that Leonard is like shoving off everybody that wanted to get near him. I think Norm Powell came up to him and congratulated him, and he kind of like gave him a shove with his left arm, and some bench player wanted to get close to him, and he saw what happened to Norm. He didn't want any of that. And I think his best friend Castleberry went up to him and he just ignored him as well. So he's like shoving people away left, right, and center. It's pretty comical actually. And then he finally embraced Green from the other team. So yeah, I think that was pretty funny. I think in all of this, it's pretty sad that Leonard didn't want to run this back-to-back, and because the Raptors are still a good team even without him. The core remains intact for at least 1 or 2 more years. And the victim in all this, in that scene that I brought up, was Kyle Lowry, because he was basically the top dog after DeMar DeRozan was traded away to the Spurs. He was the longest tenured Raptor. He's probably the most skilled and the best player on the team, and obviously he's the captain of the team, right, basically. And he just put away his pride and recognized that Kawhi Leonard is the top dog, and he gave the reins to Kawhi, and he was totally selfless. And you can see that throughout the whole playoff run, you know, like for example, when he stole the ball away from a Bucks player, he, instead of going home himself, he gave the ball to Kawhi, who did a huge dunk on Giannis. Selfless stuff like that, right? And you know, even in the conference after the post game, he said,
"It was a momentum, kind of capper. We kind of was on the run, and why not see the big dog? Let the big dog eat."
So it just shows what a selfless player that Lowry is. And going back to the Game 6 thing, yeah, it's pretty shocking because you can see his face. He's like very shocked. And Curry came to console him because I think Kyle was still shocked for that, right? He look at his face. He just looks out of it, even though he won the championship. To get spurned like that. So, yeah, it's pretty sad that, Kawhi left. And I'm not going to be one of those fans and, booing him, stuff like that. I'll still applaud him when he comes to Toronto, but I'm not going to be going crazy and jumping up and down because that game was very telling. I was pretty shocked because I thought he would stay definitely for at least a year because they won the championship, Nobody leaves the team after winning a championship, especially when you became the finals MVP. So this is unprecedented. It's just very shocking to me. And it just goes to show that he really wanted to go home, despite all the team building and camaraderie that was gained throughout the season, and they fought like brothers to the end, and they succeeded. It still wasn't enough to retain him. The thing about Toronto not being owed Kawhi Leonard, that's fine, but it's a two-way street, right? People were saying, yeah, he didn't want to come to Toronto and he could have just sat out and not played, but like I said, it's a two-way street. He had to prove his worth because he knew free agency was coming up for him, and he wanted to show the world that he's healthy and then he can still perform at a high level. So let's not pretend that there's give and take also. While the Raptors did not invent it, they definitely made this household term, load management, right? They really gave it to him. It's unheard of for a player that's healthy or supposedly on the mend to miss all these games. He played 60 games in the regular season? That's unheard of. So they really took care of him. So yeah, it's very disappointing that he wanted to go to the Clips, and but he needed some other star player in order to go back to LA. He didn't think that the Clippers by themselves were a good enough team than the Raptors. And I guess it's a compliment to the Raptors that Kawhi needed a second star player on the Clippers in order for him to make his move. So overall, it's very disappointing that he didn't decide to stay, and it's very disappointing for his players, especially for Kyle Lowry. He was very generous and gave the spotlight to Kawhi, and it still wasn't enough. Like some of the Raptors personnel said, it's good that he was here and he won the championship with them, but it's time to kick his butt next time they meet in the court. So yeah, that's the way to look at it. It's good that he came here and he helped the Raptors win their first championship, but it's unfortunate how it worked out and they couldn't do it again and try for a repeat. But yeah, looking forward to next season, which will be coming up very soon, and hopefully the Raptors will show on court that Kawhi made the wrong move going on the Clippers. So that's it from me. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Skill Sessions out. Share, like, comment, and subscribe, because Skill Sessions has the skills to satisfy.